They say Columbus discovered America in 1492. But what if we told you he was late by thousands of years? What if black people were already here, building, trading, thriving? Why doesn't your history book mention the ancient African presence? In the Americas, the truth has been buried beneath centuries of colonial whitewashing. But today, we're digging it up. Asterisk, why is it that we know so much about Columbus, but almost nothing about those who might have sailed these oceans long before him? This isn't conspiracides archaeology, it's anthropology, it's oral history, and it's been hidden in plain sight. Dr. Ivan Van Sertima. In his groundbreaking book, They Came Before Columbus, presents compelling evidence that ancient Africans had the capability and the motivation to cross the Atlantic Ocean stone. Heads in Mexico, Egyptian-style artifacts in South America, tribal legends passed down for centuries. Were these coincidences? Or suppressed truths? Asterisk, in the jungles of La Venta, Mexico, enormous stone heads sit in silence. Some weigh over 20 tons. They date back to 1200 BCE. They have broad noses, full lips, African features. Why? The civilization that created them, the Olmecs, is considered the mother culture of Mesoamerica, yet their origins remain a mystery. Even National Geographic and Smithsonian Magazine have acknowledged the striking African likeness of these heads. But mainstream academia dismisses the connection as coincidental or stylized. But let's ask the uncomfortable question. Why is it easier to believe in alien contact than African contact? Asterisk, some say. It was impossible for Africans to cross the Atlantic. But ancient maritime evidence says otherwise. West Africans were master sailors. The Kingdom of Mali, centuries before Columbus, built ships large enough to cross oceans, according to Arab historian Al-Amari. Mali's ruler, Abu Bakr, abdicated his throne in the early 1300s. To explore what lay beyond the Atlantic Ocean, he never returned. Did he perish, or did he reach a new world? Columbus himself, in his journals, noted seeing black people when he reached the Americas. Asterisk, how did they get there? Asterisk, botanists have found tropical African plants in pre-Columbian South America, plants like the bottle gourd and yams long before transatlantic slavery. How did they cross oceans? In Peru and Brazil, ancient sculptures depict black figures with braided hair and African features. Even language connections exist. Words in the Mand language of West Africa are found in native South American dialects. The Zenu people of Colombia and the Mandinka of West Africa both used intricate goldsmithing techniques that mirror each other. Did these cultures ever meet? Or are we ignoring evidence because it doesn't fit the colonial narrative? Asterisk, why does mainstream history continue to ignore these signs? The erasure isn't accidental. It was strategic. In colonial America, acknowledging that black people had a rich, ancient legacy threatened the entire foundation of white supremacy. So the narrative was rewritten. Africans were depicted as primitive, passive victims, stripped of agency, history, contribution. But when we open the ancient texts, artifacts, and oral traditions, a different picture emerges. A picture of explorers, scholars, builders, navigators. Old world maps, like the 1513 Perry Race map and earlier ones from North Africa, show detailed coastlines of the Americas before Columbus. Where did that knowledge come from? According to Professor Runoko Rashidi, black presence in the Americas can be traced through early records kept by Spanish and Portuguese explorers who noted dark-skinned people among the native populations they encountered. Some even claimed they spoke a dialect they'd heard before. In Africa, were these descendants of Mali's lost fleet? Asterisk, academic history often dismisses oral tradition. But in African and indigenous cultures, oral storytelling preserves truth. The Dogon people of Mali have spoken for centuries of transatlantic journeys. The Olmecs have legends of visitors from the East who brought knowledge and agriculture. In the Bahamas, oral stories speak of black men arriving in boats long before the Spaniards came. Are all these stories false, or are we trained not to believe non-European voices? Asterisk modern genetic studies have found markers in some indigenous American populations that trace back to Africa not through slavery, but earlier one study published in the American Journal of Human Genetics 2013 detected a West African white chromosome lineage in isolated Amazon tribes. How could this be? Unless contact occurred long before Columbus? Science is catching up to what oral history has always known. Asterisk if Africans were here before Columbus, does that mean something far deeper than mere presence? It means black people were foundational to the Americas not just through slavery, but through innovation, exploration, and culture. This redefines the narrative. It exposes the myth that black history began in chains. It reminds us that we are not just survivors, we are originators. Asterisk, why does this matter? Because truth matters. Because identity matters. Because reclaiming our past empowers our future. To those who say it's just history, know this. History is power. If your story begins with slavery, then freedom looks like charity. But if your story begins with royalty, with exploration, with ancient empires and transatlantic voyages, then freedom looks like destiny. This is not a conspiracy. This is not mythology. This is the history they never taught you. Asterisk, but now. Asterisk, if this truth resonates with you, don't keep it silent. Like, share, comment, subscribe, together. Let's uncover the untold history and write the future with eyes wide open.